The following is a presentation of Santa Monica College.
Hello and welcome to SMC TV. I'm Ryan Young.
And I'm Alex Bell. And in today's episode, we will talk to 3 different artists and explore the art scene of Santa Monica.
Santa Monica is known for its weather, beach, and street artists. And the city has become a major art hub with over 120 museums, galleries, and public art installations.
But before we dive into the details, we have our first guest, Jocelyn Rivas, who's an SMC art student as well. So Jocelyn, thank you so much for being here today. So what degree are you getting at SMC?
I'm actually first getting my AA degree on art, and then I'm going to transfer to get my bachelor's degree in graphic design.
Oh, that's awesome.
And what classes are you taking right now?
I'm currently taking art history and graphic design. That's about it.
And you like graphic design too?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what's your favorite art form then?
Well, I basically like only drawing and painting. That's far.
This is a piece of your art, speaking of painting. It's right here. I
Yeah.
feel like I have to address it because it's amazing.
Thank you.
Can you talk about what this is? How did you come up with this idea?
Actually, this was a painting for my mother for her birthday, since I didn't know what to get her, and it was already late, so I'm like, why not just paint something? So that's where I started painting it, and that's how I created this.
How did you start this? Because I look at this and I wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah,
first
it's like,
of
where
all.
do you start in a
Where did you
picture?
start? Yeah.
I actually started from this side, and that's how I figured myself out, everything. I didn't know I was going to draw the tiger. I thought I was going to draw a person, but until I somehow visualized the tiger, so I'm like, oh, just...
Yeah, and the eyes are amazing in the piece. I love it. So you said you drew it for your mom. So is that where you get your inspiration from? Is just everyday things in your life, your mom, your family?
Actually, yeah. I used to draw before, but I didn't really saw myself like doing good. So my parents were like, "Oh no, you're doing great. You're doing great." So I'm like, okay. So I started trying it more and more, and I actually started getting better. Started getting interested in doing this kind of type of paintings.
So, and I'm just curious, one more question about this. Do you start by drawing it, or do you just go for it and
No,
paint?
I actually start by drawing it in pencil, and then I start painting it.
And how long does it take to complete like a whole piece like this? Because this is a really large piece. So does it take you like a week or a month?
No, actually, this is going to be crazy, but it took me an hour to just kind of sketch it on the bottom, and it took me 4 hours to paint this. So this part, it's not fully done. I just try to finish it before my mom woke up.
Before your mom woke up, what time were you painting?
I started at 12.
Oh my gosh. So it was an all-night thing, pretty
it was
much.
a night thing.
But so you don't have to let the paint like sit and let it layer. It can just, you can do everything all at once.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
What advice would you give to other art students or people who are interested in getting into the art field?
I could tell them that they could just keep on trying and don't give up. I mean, there's sometimes artists get frustrated and they just want to give up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just keep trying and get more experience with it, and so far you'll make it.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I noticed, sorry, I'm dying to see you sketch this right here because I see you have a piece that isn't quite finished yet, but it looks like you're working on it. It looks like you have a thing for eyes because you started with those eyes and you're starting with these eyes, and these eyes are just amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about this? Is it just something that you thought of, or is it going to be for your mother again?
I actually always start with just drawing eyes. And I don't really like copying things. I just started drawing eyes, and then I figured myself, what am I going to do? Just like this painting. I didn't know what I was going to draw first until I kind of visualize it. So right now, once I'm done with this other eye, I'll see if I can figure out
what it turns out to be.
Yeah.
Could you sketch a little bit for us,
Yeah,
please?
sure.
And then, I mean, are there any techniques? I can't draw for anything, but if you could tell us some techniques that might help.
Actually, my technique is only like I just start drawing and kind of shading it to get that darkness. And this is how I don't know if it's gonna show.
You just shade it with your finger.
Yeah, and that's how I get the...
So how long does it take to do one eye? Because it's so detailed, like even the eyebrow and the reflection in the eyes. I mean, how long does that take?
To finish one, it would depend. I would say if I take the whole day, like a whole day.
To just take the time to...
I would say like a week.
A week? Oh my gosh. Wow.
If it
a week
really,
for the whole piece, not
yeah,
just for
the
the
whole
one
piece
eye.
to look realistic.
Okay.
Yeah, it would take me like a week.
So if you want to make something have depth of field, right? So like the nose there, do you make the shading darker?
Yes, I do.
That's amazing. Literally, you can't do anything wrong because we are both blown away.
I know. I was gonna say she could do way better than both of us any day.
I don't even want to show you the eye that I've painted on my phone. It doesn't compare at all.
Yeah, I saw that. Wasn't
Yeah,
the best thing I've seen, but it was a good try.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dawson, for being with us today. Next, after the break, we'll be back with our next guest.
How far does $1 go today? Not far, huh? Think again. Los Angeles Regional Food Bank creates 4 healthy meals with $1. We mobilize resources to feed people in need. Help us reach our vision that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County.
Welcome back to the show. Joining us now is our second guest, Trudy Adler, who is a current ceramics student at Santa Monica College, as well as a jewelry designer. So thank you so much, Trudy, for being here with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So what got you started and interested in designing jewelry?
Well, when I was in college, first I started at a community college in New York for advertising and graphics. And then I transferred to Pratt Institute, where I decided to do fine arts. And that exposed me to a lot of things, sculpture, jewelry making, ceramic, printmaking, etching, woodcuts, etc. So I felt very comfortable there, and it made me feel like I could continue doing it for the rest of my life, and I have.
Wow. So would you say jewelry is your passion? I see so much here.
Jewelry is a passion, but
Yes.
I really like a lot of forms of art, and I love ceramics too. There's nothing like playing with clay. It's a lot more forgiving sometimes to mold and do things, but I enjoy the jewelry making process because of the metal and the color of stones and the sculptural effects and the fact that you could do really anything with something that's a hard surface. A hard metal can be molded, hammered, forged,
So where do you
pierced.
start then? Like, how do you even form
Well,
these beautiful pieces?
I figure out first what I want to do and what inspires me. And nature is a big inspiration. I brought a leaf or two here because I love leaves. I love when they're folded. I love when they wrinkle at the edges and they scallop themselves. You know, nature from the sea, seaweed. I'm wearing a bracelet that I incorporated a seaweed design.
Oh, wow.
And the stones, the shells, all of these shapes speak to me. And I think they speak to most artists. Most artists are inspired by nature. Also, my graphic background leads me to look at shapes everywhere. And those shapes, sometimes they're shadows that come through the shapes. When I lived in New York, there'd be shadows that came through the elevated train rails. And they form all kinds of shapes, and you can translate that into art.
I thank you for that. That's actually really interesting because I picture you kind of like the movie The Beautiful Mind, just walking through, but instead of seeing numbers, and you see
Jewelry.
I
think
do.
that's awesome. So
I do.
this really caught my interest. This is a bracelet.
This one?
This
Or
one right
this?
here.
Yes,
That's
this is
made
a
out
bracelet.
of wood, but it looks like, well, from the previous angle, it looked like a piece of wood.
Yeah.
What is this?
That's
It's
good.
gorgeous.
This is a piece of copper. And this piece of copper started out to be a very, very long piece of copper, maybe about this long. And it was folded, heated up, folded, heated up, folded, heated up. And then when it was all done, it became a bracelet.
It's like an accordion.
And it is like an accordion.
That's amazing.
And then the colors are achieved by use of the flame. because copper really conducts heat. So, you know, I just hit it a few times and got the color I like.
And I have to say, you were saying that the metal is nice because you can do whatever you want. You have so many different options. And looking at all of this, I wouldn't say that this is all the same material, but it's so interesting how, I mean, the detail on this bracelet and then the detail on this, it's also unique.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to bring some different styles of things and show that there are unlimited possibilities in working with the metal. So this is copper, and all of this on this board is copper. These were inspired by leaves of different kinds.
They look very authentic.
I call this my ruffled leaf. They have
and
names.
how long does it take to do? I mean, just like even the little pieces. I'm sure the bigger pieces take a long time.
Right.
But
even the little pieces that you think you're gonna knock them out in a half hour or an hour take more than that.
Little detail.
I would have to say it would take really from start to finish, even on the simplest piece, 2 hours.
Oh wow.
And that's because even after the shape is formed, you really want to finish the edges so there's nothing rough to catch on your skin or your face, or of your skin or your hair.
Yeah.
You don't, right. And you want it to be smooth. You don't want there to be sharp points. This is a no-no. And you want it to look finished. So even with a simple, this is my folded leaf, I make sure that I finish it off so that the back has a contrast to the front, that the edge is finished off, that everything looks like it was finished, but still looks not perfect, like the nature.
That makes sense.
I mean, just looking at the pieces, like I wouldn't, in my mind, be able to create something. Do you have to sketch it, or can you just get to work with the raw material and just go from there? Because I would have to sketch something like this to know where I'm going.
You do have to sketch. It's a good idea to sketch because you're going to transfer that onto the metal. The metal costs money. Not so much copper, but the silver costs money.
Right.
And at one time it had, quintupled in the 30s. And years ago, and I'm wearing a ring that I had made in 1968, I was working with gold when it was $33 an ounce.
Wow.
So I had to stop working with gold, work with silver because it was prohibitively expensive and not everybody appreciates it. So,
I have a
you have
question.
to sketch.
These are beautiful, and I'm sure you have even more that are equally as beautiful. How would someone reach out to you if they were interested in buying one of your pieces? Do you have a website? Do you have a store location?
I don't have a store location. I work out of my home. I have an email, and anybody could reach me at my email. But I don't have a website because, first of all, I'm never satisfied with the quality of my photos. And secondly, that's a problem. Secondly, because photos really, you want them to really speak.
Right.
And the other reason is that they are one of a kind. So once I sell something, then it requires maintenance for me to maintain a website. So I haven't quite gotten there yet, but it is in the works to have a website. I realized that I could have a website and say, I do this kind of style, that kind of style, this kind of style, and I don't have to worry about, replacing something that's sold.
So they're one-of-a-kind pieces.
So they're one-of-a-kind pieces, and it's a lot of fun. You really do have to sketch because, for instance, this design, which is overlaid onto another piece of silver, and then areas have been cut out, and then there are spacers to give it. Make it look like it's elevated because it is, and then that's 4 layers.
Right.
And if you can't just cut it out. You have to have a plan for the design. And because I'm basically a graphic person, I could make 50 different changes to this before it even gets cut out in the metal.
That is beautiful.
Thank
you
beautiful.
so
Thank
much.
you so
We
much for
appreciate
coming.
it.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
We appreciate you being here.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned.
Discover 30 years of opera in Santa Monica. Discover the Verdi Chorus.
Welcome back. One of my favorite places to see art in Santa Monica is Bergamot Station. And if you don't know what that is, it's an old train station that has been converted into various art galleries. Funny enough, it's now going to be reconverted into half art gallery, half train station for the line going from downtown to Santa Monica.
And if you haven't been there, I suggest you really check it out. It's got some interesting pieces, and I had never been, so Ryan was kind enough to take me. So we have some great footage of things that we saw when we went.
Shoshana Wayne Gallery was founded in 1986 by Shoshana and Wayne Blank. They've been in this location since 1994. They also sort of founded the Bergamot Station Art Center, which is one of the largest art complexes in the Western United States. The typical exhibition usually lasts about 6 weeks. Sometimes if the work is going to a museum show, we have to work with the dates a little more, but usually it's about 6 weeks. The current exhibition is Kathy Butterly, and she's from New York, and we've worked with Kathy for many, many years. This is her 5th exhibition with the gallery. Usually the individual exhibition by one artist, the artist, him or herself, kind of conceives of a general theme or idea that this particular body of work is built around. So for this exhibition, it's about color. Everything in the show is clay and glaze, and all of the pieces are from 2015. This artwork is, the smaller pieces are $18,000 and the slightly larger are $20,000. But in general, artworks in this gallery range from like $2,000 to $150,000. So there's a pretty big range. The gallery represents the artist, so the gallery sells the artwork for the artist, and then you share the profit with the artist. So yeah, hopefully everything sells. That's the idea.
At the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Monica, we build long-lasting relationships with our kids.
Love. Friendships.
Support. Trust.
Learning. I know. Fun.
All that and a lot more.
We're not just a club. We're family.
Great futures start here.
We have our last interview of the day with Professor Walt Louie, who is a video editing professor at Santa Monica College. Professor Louie is here with us now. Hello.
Hey there.
Thank you for joining us, first of all.
My pleasure.
And you are a current teacher at SMC right now.
Yes, I'm teaching in the Entertainment Technology Department, which is currently in our temporary building out here by the airport.
Okay, what classes are you teaching specifically?
I teach 3 different classes, which essentially is beginning editing, intermediate editing, and then advanced editing, as it were. We actually have an amazing lab, and all the computers are loaded with all the current software. We use Premiere, the Adobe Premiere program, and then we go into the intermediate with the Avid Media Composer, and we also have a shared storage device that is basically what's used in the industry today. So as far as the Avid software, it's pretty much, if you can look at any feature film that comes out of Hollywood, I would say 98% are edited on the Avid Media Composer, and that's what we teach our students.
Wow.
So in your class, is there any, like, do you focus more on film or short form media or commercials?
That's, yeah, I think I try to teach them pretty much every format. And we start with a simple 30-second commercial, we get into the documentary formats, and then we get into what we call the narrative format, which is the scripted, what most people would consider scenes or movies. And then we get into promos and other kind of promotional type of editing. And I think it's fairly comprehensive. because I think I want to prepare them for what would be a real working world situation where they would have to know all this.
So students that take your class can be prepared to go straight into the workforce pretty much.
Absolutely.
With a hands-on experience.
Definitely hands-on experience, and with the whole workflow that I expect them to be simple things like just naming conventions, never making this typographical error, turning things on time, simple things like that, which will keep your job if you ever get one. You know.
And how long have you been at SMC?
This is my 4th year teaching here, but I've been in the business for over 35 years in this town.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So out of all of the formats that you've worked in, is there one particular that you feel most passionate about?
Actually, the documentary format is my favorite, and it's because it's very challenging, and it really, the whole point is to tell people's stories, stories of people that may not get big billings or stories that you don't know much about. And the one, and I've had the fortune to work on a few of the documentaries, and I worked on this one that I believe I brought a clip in for you guys to take a look at.
Yes, and that one is called Tyrus, and it's about the Chinese-American artist who contributed to the classic movie Bambi. Let's take a look.
Our next legend had a brief but impactful Disney career. His name is Tyrus Wong, and he only worked at the studio for 3 years, and during that time devoted himself to just one movie, Bambi. But what a film it was.
Bambi does not look like the other Disney films. Part of that is Tyrus's personal style, and part of that is drawing on the traditions of Chinese art.
You could actually see brushstrokes on the screen. They were it sort of gave you the idea of a whole bunch of leaves or
Wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. I'm one of several editors work on this because this project went on for quite a few years. And the most amazing thing is that the film finally got done recently, and I actually went to a screening of it last week. And the amazing thing is that Tyrus was there.
Oh, wow.
The man in October turned 105.
Wow!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
so did you get to speak to him again? And
yeah,
I mean,
a little bit. Yeah, but he was just mobbed by all the well-wishers and people at this festival. So it's an amazing process because I went to his 100th birthday party 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh!
And to see this guy come in, without any walking device. I mean, he wasn't like hobbling. He walked in with a surprise birthday. Hey. It was a surprise birthday party, and you thought the guy might have a heart attack. People just screamed at him, and he just had a great time. And this is an amazing story of this one guy and his struggle here.
So where can we watch this movie?
There's quite a few film festivals that will be airing it. It's in Hawaii right now at the Hawaiian Film Festival. It'll be coming to LA. I don't have the date, but we can probably get the information for you later.
Sure. Is there a website that we can?
Yeah, Tyrus Wong the Movie, I believe it's called. TyrusWongTheMovie.com. Check that out. I'm sure you Google it. There's a lot of work on it. Again, it's like an independent film. There's a lot of Kickstarter type support and all this stuff. But it's great to finally see it get done.
That's actually a good point. I wanted to ask you, how has the editing world changed based on things like Kickstarter and crowdfunding?
It really has helped it, and a lot of films depend on that now. And I think there's a nice, large following of people who support this, and they understand that there's a value to this. And the fact that there's a whole different distribution method now that you don't need to release, and this applies to features as well as documentaries, that you don't have to rely on the studio to give you the big okay to put it in the theaters. You got all these alternate venues such as Netflix and Amazon and obviously the internet. And so it gives a lot more availability to let people do their stories and tell their own stories, which may not be for everybody and it may not be so mainstream, but is as vital and it's important.
And that also creates a lot more jobs because there are more shows online than, there are more shows online than ever before, obviously.
The need to fill the content stream is amazing, and that is very encouraging to me, teaching students, that there is a venue that may not be traditional, but that's okay.
And they can do their own thing. You know?
And they can be discovered because of that.
Exactly.
And in closing, I just want to ask, is there a degree that SMC offers for video editing?
Yes, there is a digital media degree that you can get. It's I believe it's an AA, and that's part of a whole program of other software which we all teach, and it's mainly by most our instructors are industry based, and so it's a great opportunity, a great resource for anybody who want to learn a little bit more. Come take our classes.
That's amazing.
And we'll be going to our new building in maybe about a year, and that'll be a great facility to really jump in on that.
Well, Professor Louie, thank you so much for coming out today.
My pleasure.
It has been really encouraging to hear all these things that SMC offers.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so great that we have such a passionate professor here, so thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And if you liked any of the pieces that you saw or want to visit Bergamot Station, visit the website listed in today's shows for further information.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have, but thank you so much to all of our guests for coming on, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.